Hello, all. Today we are talking about ecosystems. I want to introduce our speakers. Please come with me. Ecosystems is one of the topics that many researchers and many businessmen and technologists are studying. Ecosystem came from the concept of biology applied to innovation, applied to business. And this is something very complex. It's about the strategy, it's about networks, it's about network effects, it's about many other things. The most important thing in an ecosystem is the local or regional orientation, because it seems that you see the global competitive index, you can see that small countries are in the highest ranking in the innovation index. Why? Why small countries or regions can manage innovation in a way that they can interact with all the stakeholders? One of the questions. Why Israel, for example, is growing without industries? Is one thing that is very based on pure ecosystem approach. I want to introduce Cristina Fanjul. Cristina is the director of CEI Asturias. CEI is an incubator and accelerator of technology-based companies where she leads initiative of entrepreneurship and innovation. Welcome.
Thank you.
Carmen Reguero has 27 years of professional experience in the field of law, international tax planning and traction of investment, and institutional relations and public affairs. Welcome, Carmen. And
Thank you.
Miguel is a senior skilled digital manager. He leads Archipelago Next VC Fund, seeking for the next Spanish unicorn. That is very ambitious.
Hope so.
My first question to all of you is, you can start there. Which could be the drivers to boost innovation in a local perspective?
This is very important because I think we all act in a world when the challenges are global. So it is important to think on these global challenges, but also taking into account that these global challenges need to really land into territorial challenges, because every context is different, every situation, the partner situation is different, every stakeholder is different. So I think make the connection between those global megatrends and the local megatrends, it's very important. I belong to the public service. I belong to, I think, a new generation of public service. We are all concerned about, our regional development. And we are part of this puzzle. We are part of this new ecosystem, and it's important to really think global, but act local. That is the key.
Well, thank you very much.
I think that we in the Canary Islands, we have all the elements and the ingredients to create an ecosystem, and companies are more aware now of applying the tax incentives we have in the Canary Islands, because we have already a lot of opportunities in the sectors like in telecommunications, because the Canary Islands are one of the most well-connected systems because of the submarine cable and the NAP we have, the neutral access point. And we have opportunities in marine research and development, in renewable energies, optical communications. We have ports, the best ports in the Middle Atlantic, and in many other sectors, not only in tourism. And these, combined with the tax incentives we have in the Canary Islands, are very potent to create different ecosystems in which regard the change and the revolution in taking the Canary Islands and Spain to the 21st century. And I don't know, if you like, later we can explain the details of these very incredible tax opportunities and tax advantages we have in the Canary Islands to combine with the opportunities and to create a very potent ecosystem in which regards entrepreneurship in the 21st century.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Carlos, and for the introduction. I also come from the Canary Islands, same as Raquel, and I've made this question a lot of times, and I have to say I don't have a right answer so far. I think the Canary Islands has a lot of potential. I am running the very first venture capital firm from the Canary Islands, backed by 20 corporates, which has been a huge challenge to rise. And the fact is that we are not succeeding in finding investment opportunities in the Canaries so far. So we are having to invest in other startups in the rest of the country. But there are some things I think we've learned from the main tech hubs in Spain, such as Madrid or Barcelona. And I would say there are three main ingredients a city must have or achieve for a successful entrepreneurship and innovation hub to happen or just to happen over the time, which are talent, clients, and it's a very important ingredient, and then funds in this order. This is what we are trying to work with our LPs in the Canaries, trying to change their mindset and how they have conversations with startups and innovative companies. And it's one of our focus work, and it's what we are mostly doing from the venture capital firm.
In the ecosystem, we have four main stakeholders. It's about companies, it's about investors, it's about the startups, it's about universities as well. I mean, how to manage in a regional ecosystem the both behaviors, all these kind of different cultures?
This is very important because I think I'm working for an incubator. Working for an incubator in Asturias means that your main client is the entrepreneur. But in the end, you realize that your client is the ecosystem. But without this global vision about the process, you cannot achieve anything. You cannot be alone. So for example, take the example of Asturias, which I represent. We come for, let's say, a very long tradition of heavy industries, shipbuilding, iron and steel, which still has influence, which is the ecosystem. So let's go for the strength of the ecosystem, which is the fact of many corporates acting in those sectors are still, very active in the. So when building this ecosystem, you need to think on those corporates as a very important and main key actors. So when constructing these four stakeholders, four dimension, let's say, ecosystems, you need to think that your strength is still your strength and try to really put the effort and the attention in the things you have, let's say, as an additional value. We are not Madrid, we are not Barcelona, but we can present ourselves in different dimensions and try to think also that those local ecosystems who are far from, let's say, the main industrial hub, the main innovation hub, then as an entrepreneur, you will, let's say, receive more attention because you are more value, because the ecosystem really relies on you to really develop this, let's say, these externalities, this regional development. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for those type of regions who are not really the key ones, but have still dynamic and very, let's say, powerful local ecosystems.
Thank you. Well, one of the things is we are expecting the new law of startups, and which could be the pillars, the underpinnings of a legal environment to allow to boost the startup world in a way that the executive agency, the tax agency, Spanish tax agency, can understand the evolution of the valuations of startups and so on and so forth.
Exactly. Yes, I'm absolutely sympathetic with Cristina because I have Asturian. I am half Astur and half Canary, but absolutely sympathetic because I think that we are not Madrid, but as His Majesty the King said yesterday in the opening speech, the Canary Islands is one of the territories that is making a lot of success in entrepreneurship because of these tax advantages we have. We have a challenge because we have to let know all the actors in the international and national tax planning that the Canaries have this very potent tax schedule for companies. And this schedule acts in the different stages of the company, when it is a startup, when it's investing, and when it's acting. And that the Canary Islands is not just a place for companies, for Canary companies, but for international companies. And all these tax advantages can be used together, combined one with the other in the different states of the life of the company. For instance, when a company is starting, because this is a startup environment, the company can use the research and development incentives and tax credits we have that goes from 45% to, wait for it, 112.5%. And what is more important, we have a cashback on this research and development costs the company have, in such a way that a company starting in the Canary Islands can have all this research and development expensive totally for free if they are well combined. When a company is acting and is already starting to act, we have this 50% tax credit on the companies producing tangible goods. For instance, we think on a company that works in the Internet of Things. That is a very important tax advantage. Or we have a 25% tax credit on the assets a company invests in the Canary Islands. And when talking about the film industry, a company has from 45 to 50% tax credit on the expenses they have in the Canary Islands. For instance, for a foreign production, a company can, an average production of 20 million euros. Company can have reduced the cost of its production to 10 million euros, and the next best jurisdiction is 14 to 15 million euros. So this is very, very good for a film producing company in the Canary Islands. And when acting, when the company is selling all the products, etc., a company can apply a 4% corporate tax, which is the lowest in Europe. Yes, you have the best jurisdiction is Ireland with 12.5%. And besides, we don't have withholding tax in dividends sent to the mother company, whatever it is, skipping the double taxation agreement. Yes, provided that company meets the requirements of the parent subsidiary European directive, and also for raising capitals for the Canary company is very, very good. The tax incentives we have, because we don't have withholding tax in the sending of dividend to the foreign lender. So it has all his interest in full. This is very important as a tax system for the companies working in the Canary Islands.
Okay, thank you very much. Neil, one of the problems in a regional perspective is scaling. How to scale from Canarias?
Well, I first have to say, after this speech, please come to the Canaries. We, on top of all these tax incentives, we have the best weather in the world, which is a fact.
That's true. That's true.
So,
It's talk of the European California.
yes. So when talking about scaling, or even just the ecosystem to happen, there are a lot of things that must work and must happen at a city or at a country for this to succeed. But I will point for two when thinking on the long shot. I mean, if we are thinking on an ecosystem to succeed on the long term, I think there are two main challenges we have to work on, which are the innovative mindset of the corporates. and medium and small enterprises at the ecosystem, which is something easy to say, hard to work, because it looks like a very general solution, but when we come to the point, there are a lot of things we can do with corporates. For example, this year we have run the first edition of our venture building program, which tries to solve real business problem of our LPs. We had 500 applicants from the Canaries, and then we selected 8 projects, and we have invested 4 so far. So I think these kind of initiatives may help changing this innovation and entrepreneurship mindset of the corporates, which also have a lot to do with how they face risk and how they take risks at business as usual. And the second one, which also has to be, which is also a challenge, is working on the entrepreneurship mindset based on very strong values such as effort, long-term thinking, and sustainability. I've seen a lot of founders trying to take shortcuts, thinking on how much money they are going to own when the company grows, and not being present at the moment, and working hard. So this is, I would say, 2 of the main challenges which cities or countries should face when trying to succeed in the long term, having a healthy innovation ecosystem.
Carlos, if I can jump into the discussion with
Sure.
with this scaling, I would also like, I absolutely agree with you. You know, this is the very real challenge about scaling up. It's not only starting up, but it's also helping our companies to really scale. So let's give 2 different examples on 2-way directions. First of all, for our regional entrepreneurs, I definitely agree with you. Everything is about entrepreneurial mindset, this ambition, this kind of, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. How to make it? Well, it's a connection between education, it's a connection between having a local ecosystem, dynamic, able to really raise, let's say, this kind of situations. And here, the local ecosystem, as for example, Asturian Canarias or Canarias, I think we have a challenge, which is really make part of these very global networks. Let's say we need to act as bridges for those people, trying to connect it with those global megatrends, with other actors. So I think our role is especially important when providing this, for example, this lack of competencies, this lack of things that make really the company to scale. But let's go for other direction. Why don't think in this kind of local ecosystems as a kind of soft landing periods, soft landing regions where, for example, a company from abroad, let's speak about maybe South America or America, when trying to open the European market, why don't think in this kind of local ecosystem to try to really put a kind of the seed of the, let's say, the expansion of the company, the growth of the company. I think, for example, in Asturias, we are creating a system where we are not so lucky to have this absolutely incentive service or tax incentives, but we are creating an ecosystem which is very permeable to this. We have financial tools in order to support those companies, those foreign companies coming to the region and trying to, because in the region we have the talent, because there's a tremendous fight, you know, in this global for talent. So this kind of local ecosystem has this type of talented people who are very attached to the territory, who really would like to make part of something bigger, but really staying in the territory. So why don't access to this talent? We have the local connections, but with the global. And finally, we have the financial tools in order to support this scaling up. So I think both perspectives are very important when talking about scaling.
Sure.
Exactly.
Sure.
On top of that, I should say, we were asking before about how stakeholders should work together, university, public sector, funds, companies. And I think this is crucial for an ecosystem to grow. I have to say, this is the first time 4 Canarian institutions come together to the South Summit,
Exactly.
and it's something I'm very proud of. I mean,
Yes,
we are
yes.
both public and private sector. We are four
And this is
organizations
Yes.
putting efforts together to be here and to tell the world advantages of both investing or starting a company in the Canaries. So I'm very happy for that. I know I have a lot to walk. I see other cities in Spain, such as Valencia or Malaga, which are mirrors I like to look me at. And I know we have a lot of work to walk, but I think
Exactly.
these are the kind of things that might help local ecosystem to grow, and then after that, scale, of course.
And I'm sorry if I can say anything. I agree with both of you with the entrepreneurial mindset and the ecosystem, but I think that this is very important for companies, above all for companies that have not a lot of resources, because we in the Canary Islands applying these incentives. We have Rolls-Royce in the ship repair sector, or we have a very big octopus farm, or in the IT service we have these very big multinationals applying all these activities, all these incentives. But it's very important that all the organizations we come together, because all these small companies we have here, it's important to ask us first how to do it, how to plan all the activities, to apply all these tax incentives. Because if they are too, if they run too much, probably it's too late to apply the incentives we offer in the Canary Islands. So it's important to call us first, to contact the institutions, to contact the SEC consortium, the Canary Islands Special Zone Consortium. We are part of the Ministry of Finance, and we help you and guide you to other institutions that can help, and to present all the documents to enjoy our very potent tax regime, the Canary Islands Special Zone, with a 4% of corporate tax. Yes.
Wonderful. We have a wonderful music as well. And
Yes,
you can
let's dance.
if you
To
want.
make lively
Okay, last
discussion.
question. Last question. I remember I lived in Israel for 8 years, and Singapore, Boston, and Colombia, Medellin, launching the National Innovation Agreement with Rutain. It was an incredible experience there, how to boost regional ecosystem. But the main thing here, I learned from these countries, comparing Israel, I mean, it's a very special thing, comparing with Medellin, is that we need the demand from companies.
Absolutely.
On innovation, because we don't have, I mean, here in Spain we have a very huge, great B2C startups, but in B2B we are having a lot of problems. Then we need the culture from companies to ask for innovation, and then to connect in a way that they cannot use the startups as something for free. It's like, we need 10 rules or 5 rules to work with startups.
You have to pay for.
What's your opinion about it?
It's absolutely, I definitely agree with you. When I talk about this long tradition, industrial tradition in the region, we at the moment put the attention in this kind of open innovation programs, which is very important because it's a two-way directions program. On the one hand, we have these industrial, let's say, leadership companies who still need innovation and who are not able to really, let's say, build the innovation inside because now they are, let's say, big dinosaurs with very, difficult movements. So they need those kind of new agents of innovation who are able to pivot, who are able to really provide innovation at the level, at the speed level that the ecosystem needs. So there's one hand direction. But on the other side, the startups still need to learn from, professional and industrial culture. So let's say in Asturias, this business to business, we still try to, let's say, focus the companies. If they think they have a model, B2C, we try to really make them understand that the business to business is still more, let's say, more stable connections, that there are some other actors who can give the market, who can give, enormous possibilities to scale in this R&D or innovation project because they have the market and they have the network and the possibility to provide. So, for example, in Asturias, we have developed the Open Innovation 4.0, which in fact is, the term for digitalization of industry. And I'll say main of the corporates in the company, ArcelorMittal, EDP from Energy, ThyssenKrupp, everything. Every company, multinational corporate, is learning how to really focus the relationship with those startups. I think are wonderful and magnificent results from this type of programs.
Thank you very much. Any comment?
I think that probably Miguel knows about it more than me.
Okay.
The open program.
I should say there's a shared responsibility on this to happen, both from the side of the startup and from the side of the corporate. I recently heard that being innovative is fine, but you have to try to be one step, not 10, behind, in order to succeed when trying to sell the product. I mean, if you are 5 years ahead, maybe you will struggle selling the product. And then on the corporate side, I think you are at IE are doing tremendous work with this, from your department, trying to expand and help companies know how artificial intelligence can help them in their business as usual. I have an example where we are at the cap table of a company from Madrid who has developed a solution for burnout early detection based on AI. They've been trying to sell the solution in Spain for a whole year without any success.
Sure.
They've just started a few months ago trying to sell it at the US.
Yes.
They are now running on a 50 case MRR after 2 months of selling efforts. So there's something we have to change in Spain in terms of accessing to technology from corporates.
Well, thank you very much for your participation in this panel. It was really interesting, your ideas. We need to encourage the ecosystem, our ecosystem, and the mentality to being part of a value-added network based on ecosystem dynamics. Thank you very much. Please applause to the speakers. Thanks a lot.